Hello everyone, my name is Jordan Arel, coming to you live from Berkeley, California, Godric's Hollow, the EA House, Effective Altruism, making a video about Effective Altruism. I read a article by Eliezer Yudkowsky called Trying to Try. It was a very good article. I read it for the EA-UC Berkeley student group, and the summation of this article, it was basically commenting on a quote from Yoda. Yoda says, "Do or do not. There is no try." So excuse my Yoda impression. I'm working on it. Eliezer starts out by saying, basically, this quote's totally stupid, and it seems like just what he calls pretending to be wise. It's not actually wisdom. It's just saying something kind of mysterious and weird sounding that sounds cool and doesn't actually mean anything. But it's funny, the conclusion that he actually comes to after analyzing this and thinking about this is basically that actually it is pretty profound, because the thing is, often when we try to do something, it's just that we try to do it. We don't actually do it. And colloquially, even when you say you're going to do something, often what you really mean is you're basically going to put forth the minimal amount of effort required to possibly achieve that thing. So when you're trying to start a startup or make $1 million or do something crazy ambitious, these are some of the examples he gives. It's much easier to try to make $1 million than it is to actually make $1 million. You can buy a lottery ticket, and you don't actually make $1 million when you buy a lottery ticket, but you tried. And I mean, some people do. Some people do make $1 million and much more. Most people who try to start a fancy startup that makes, is the next Google or whatever, it's they tried. They put forth an effort. They called a couple people, tried to put a team together, tried to ask some people for money, tried to do some things, and it just didn't pan out. They gave it their best shot. They really tried, and but they didn't actually do the thing. And this is so often the case with when people say they're going to do something. They really just mean that they're going to, in their mind, they want to imagine themselves doing it and be able to say that they're doing it and be able to imagine that it could happen because they're trying. But the fact is, most people don't actually think carefully enough about the problem that they're trying to solve, that they actually have a clear mental model of how to actually achieve it. Maybe they have a strategy that sounds like it could work, but there's a big difference between that and which is the way Yudkowsky puts it, is doing your best, trying these are the resources I have, this is what I could do with what I have, and I'm gonna try to use my things, versus actually thinking about what would need to happen for this problem to actually be solved. So if you have a crazy ambitious thing, for example, trying to prevent existential risk and the possible extinction of humanity from artificial intelligence, or if you are trying to end global poverty or the suffering of animals, or if you are trying to do what I'm trying to do, which is start a hybrid market, which is basically possibly one of the most difficult things that's ever been achieved. It's basically an alternative financial system to capitalism. And it's really hard to create an alternative financial system that works much better, really insanely hard. And so I notice myself doing this a lot, where I will, I'll basically make a to-do list of things I need to do, and at the top of the list, I'll order it in order of priority. At the top of the list, I'll have the most important thing, But then I'll like look at the to-do list and be like, okay, that looks really hard. It's gonna take a lot of effort. It's gonna be like, I really need to be like all together before I can do that thing. So let me prepare by like doing some of these other things on the list that might distract me, or some of them are kind of urgent. Like it'd be good to do them soon, even though it doesn't necessarily matter if I do them at all. Still, I want to get them done. I want to, or I need to prepare. I need to like get more resources. I need to have more cash so that I can support myself in some way, or for a long enough time to be able to do this project. I need to have the right connections. I need to have all the knowledge that I have. And, all these things, they can be true, but it's like, at some point you realize it's not rationality, as another thing as Eliezer points out. It's not rationality, it's just rationalization. You're not actually really trying to find the best possible thing that you can do and then do it. You're trying to do something that sounds good enough, and like, it's something that will move you toward that goal. It's like, it is plausibly like one of the best things you could do, if you don't think too hard about it. But that's just the thing. You need to actually think really hard about it and think, how could I actually create and put into action an alternative financial system, if that's my goal. You need to think about, how could this thing actually conceivably really happen? How could we actually, again, with Eliezer's goal, align artificial intelligence to human values? How could this actually be achieved? And then, in addition to how can it be achieved, how can I then test my assumptions? How can you, it sounds like this could work, but to know that it will actually work, you have to go through all of the aspects of your plan, and like, you've thought about it carefully. You've got this very clear plan. You try to consider everything, but now it's like, okay, there's a lot of assumptions built into this model, and this is something that you're trying to achieve that's never been done before. So you have to, what I realized when thinking about this, you have to be okay with failure. Like, you're going to, many times along the path to success, confront a lot of little failures along the way. You're going to think that something's going to work, or that something could work, or that it might work, and then you're going to do it, or try to do it, and then it's going to fail. Not because you didn't actually do your best or didn't actually prioritize, but actually because reality is just like really surprising and difficult sometimes. And so even if you actually are trying your very best, you might actually still fail. You will fail many times along the way, and you have to be okay with this. And I think that's what's hard for me. It's like, I think about, okay, I could actually do the first thing on my priorities list, which I have thought about pretty carefully, and actually take that action. But if I do that, it's like, it seems really hard. It seems like I quite possibly will fail, maybe even probably will fail. And then like, I'll have to iterate, and I'll have to try again, and it'll be like demoralizing. But that's the thing. Like, if you want to achieve something, you have to be willing to confront that failure over and over and over again, and accept that that's just part of the process. So I think that's what I'm realizing after reading this article and thinking about this topic of the difference between trying and actually doing something. To actually do something is really fucking hard, and you have to be okay with that, and with the idea that you may fail many times along the way. You may even fail ultimately at the task you're trying to achieve. It's quite possible that even like, if you really are doing your absolute very best, you may still fail. But the best you can do is to try to build a clear mental model of how to actually achieve this thing. And then, another thing is like prioritizing and figuring out what's that actual most important thing you can do. Not the like second or third or fourth or seventh most important thing on your to-do list, but what's the number one thing on your to-do list that you need to do to make this project happen, and then do that one thing. You have to do the one thing. There's a book called The One Thing, which is, it's a pretty good book. It's an okay book. But that idea from that book is like so critical. Like, what's the absolute one single most important thing that you could do on this project? And then after you've done that, or failed to do it, or tried to do it, and and failed, then what do you do next? What's the next most important thing? To figure out how to succeed, to iterate, to try again, to see what was wrong with your mental model. What do you need to test next? What do you need to try next? And then keep on doing this process over and over and over again, even if you're continually failing, whatever that Edison quote, 1,000 times. You're going to fail many, many times before you succeed. And you just have to look at that as part of the process. So, I don't know, I feel like I'm a motivational speaker here or something. Not trying to be, just trying to point out that this is a very real problem you face when you're trying to achieve a goal. When I'm trying to achieve this goal, or any goal, even if it's not the hybrid market, there's many goals that I think are really important and noble to try to achieve, and all of them I face the same problem. It's always well, I could really try to achieve this goal, or I could do all this other shit that might help me. It's conceivably, if you don't think about it too hard, could be really important, and or some of it seems urgent. Maybe some of it is just more fun. Too bad. You have to this is the other thing. You have to be willing to fail at a bunch of things, because you're not going to be able to succeed at every single part of your life. You're probably going to have to neglect some areas of your life. You might not be able to party every day. You might not be caught up on all your TV shows that you want to watch. You might even have to neglect I don't know, things that sound really important, not spend as much time with your friends sometimes if you really want to achieve an important goal. Sometimes you have to make really real sacrifices. I don't know, it's good to have life balance for sure, and you have to have fun and enjoy your life, and not be too miserable for motivation's sake. But I think it really is important to be able to sacrifice and be willing to sacrifice and fail or neglect things that aren't as important to you. What's your real, true, most important priority in life? Maybe it is family, maybe it is friends, maybe it is whatever. Whatever is your most important priority, though, you're going to have to sacrifice something else for that priority. And I think that's also something I struggle with sometimes. But yeah, it's something you have to think about and realize and think about. Okay, what am I going to have to sacrifice, and then be willing to sacrifice those things, knowing that the reason that you're doing it is because there's something to you that's much more important, and it's necessary to sacrifice things that are less important for things that are more important. That's about it. That's all I have to say about this article. I'll link the article in the description below. It's really good. Check it out. And yeah, what's your noble obstacle? Noble obstacles are from the book Finish by John Acuff. Noble obstacles are things that sound good. It sounds plausibly something that would be really good to do, but isn't actually the most important thing. It's really just something you use to distract yourself, so you won't have to fail or try harder at the thing that actually matters. So what are your noble obstacles? Would be curious to hear that in the comments. Or also just what else stops you from succeeding at your truly most important goal? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. So that's it for today, and I will talk to y'all later.